Hello again. This is JT Carden with the agency Scottsdale, and today I wanted to have some fun and start us off with a little visual imaging exercise. So if you would, close your eyes with me, and I want you to think about the words Paradise Valley. Now, for me, when I envision those words together, picture a beautiful mountain valley, lush green grass, flowers everywhere, surrounded by dense pine forest, mountains lined with these pine trees, a little bit of snow capping them in the summer. It's a beautiful place. There are birds and bees, there are deer running through the field, a little brook babbling through, giving everything life. A nice cool breeze blows through, cool temperatures and lazy clouds rolling through a beautifully pleasant sky. That, I would argue, is most people's definition of Paradise Valley. Now, I want you to envision a different Paradise Valley with me. This one is flanked on all sides by craggy, rocky mountains, completely barren for the most part. In the valley itself, there are little stands of small Palo Verde trees that look more like shrubs than trees, because the wicked seasonal winds and monsoons will break any branches that grow taller than that. Saguaros thrust up from the earth like angry spears covered in spines. Half-dead plants that wish they were all the way dead connect some of these Palo Verde islands with their, low shrubbery. The only sign that water has ever visited this place would be the sandy and incredibly hot, barren washes that cut through, and a beautiful, hot wind that feels like it came out of the very gates of hell greets you, where you were expecting something a little bit more pleasant and refreshing. Very little shade in sight, not a cloud in the sky, just a very, very angry sun, and a world before you that looks as inhospitable as anything you've ever seen. To the original land surveyors of Paradise Valley, they saw that and said, there's potential. Now, I don't know that I necessarily would have agreed with them in that point in time. Thankfully, I wasn't there, because what that became is now one of the most expensive zip codes in the country, Paradise Valley, Arizona. Now, the land surveyors did have the benefit of seeing what remained of some ancient canals that the native inhabitants had built centuries before. So when they saw this valley, I won't call it a paradise at this point, they thought, you know what? With a little bit of work, a little bit of money, I think we can make this into an agricultural utopia. And so they set about creating the Rio Verde Canal Company with the intention of taking water from the Verde River and taking it via canal all the way down to Paradise Valley to create a utopia for pioneers to settle. Now, unfortunately for them, this project was a little bit more than they anticipated, and within a decade they had gone bankrupt and were purchased out by another company, and within 10 years of that, even the water rights that they had acquired for their irrigation project had been completely rescinded by the government, and they completely went out of business with very, very little to show for it. However, all hope was not lost, because at the same time, there were actually two other projects that were coming out, which was part of why their water rights were rescinded, and those were the creation of Roosevelt Lake, which is over in eastern Arizona, as well as the Salt River Project, now colloquially known as SRP, both of which are still around, both of which provide pretty consistent year-round water to the valley, and both of which had much more success than the Rio Verde Canal Company did. The area known now as Paradise Valley was still able to find some tenants. They were able to find some farmers who wanted to come and take care of the land, which was great. They generally split the land up into 1 to 5 acre parcels, and for the next 50 to 60 years, that's basically all that there was there. It was a quiet farming area, very agricultural, and that was about it. Now, that all happened late 1800s, and like I said, for about 50, 60 years, pretty much just sat in a state of essentially status quo. Everyone was content. The farms were modest, small affairs, nothing really to, pay particularly close attention to. And then in the 50s and 60s, Phoenix and Scottsdale experienced a massive population boom. Like, I'm talking quadrupling in the course of 10 years big. So with that, the population obviously needed places to go, and Phoenix and Scottsdale both started encroaching further and further north. Now what this meant for Paradise Valley is that they felt very threatened because Phoenix and Scottsdale were both starting to take some of that land on the outskirts that had formerly been part of their agricultural community. So in response to that, I'm going to quote you the name of the group that the citizens made because it's very appropriately named. They formed the Citizens Committee for the Incorporation of the Town of Paradise Valley. Really rolls off the tongue. They did this because up to this point, Paradise Valley was not an incorporated town or city. It merely existed. Now, because of their efforts, in 1961, Paradise Valley became an official township in the county of Maricopa, which was fantastic. They were excited because it meant that they could preserve their way of life for generations to come. And so, over the next half century or so, Paradise Valley quietly and with great dignity became one of the most valuable pieces of real estate, not just in Arizona, but in the country as a whole. As far back as 2000, the first home sold over $10 million was in Paradise Valley. Now, $10 million gets you a lot of home now. I can't even imagine what that was like back in 2000. But since then, Paradise Valley accounts for 150 of approximately 236 homes sold over that $10 million price point. That is astounding. That is well over 50% of all $10 million plus homes in the state in one zip code that you can get across in about 10 to 15. What's more, Paradise Valley further exceeded expectations in that they recently posted the most expensive home sale in Arizona history at a whopping $40 million. So what happened to that desert wasteland that we described earlier that then turned into just regular farming desert land? What makes Paradise Valley so valuable to people nowadays? Now, I already mentioned this before, but one of the things that makes Paradise Valley so valuable is the foresight of the city committee to make the minimum lot size 1 acre. None of the cities in the surrounding suburbs have that rule, and so they've been subdivided and subdivided and subdivided until you get lots that are quarter acre, which isn't terrible, but then people are trying to build multi-million-dollar homes on them. Not a great look, and it creates a very congested neighborhood feel. Paradise Valley has stayed true to that, and any home there, almost any home, there are a couple of exceptions, is at least 1 acre. Now that benefits them in a couple of ways, two of which are, one, if you're going to have redevelopment, it lets you have a lot more room to play with. If you have 2 acres to build on, you can obviously build a much larger home than if you have a quarter acre, and you can include a lot more amenities with that. It also creates a more privacy-focused community where people are very keen to be not hidden from their neighbors, but far enough away that they can live their own lives in peace and privacy. That's a big plus if you are a name brand person that people know and you want to not be seen and live a relatively normal life in your mega mansion. Another key element of this is going to be the location of Paradise Valley generally. Now, I know earlier I was being a little silly in describing these rocky, craggy mountains that surround this valley, but nowadays that means Paradise Valley has real estate on 3 of the 4 major mountains in the Phoenix area. And what do mountainside lots have in common here? Well, they command extremely high prices. Coupling that with Paradise Valley and large lots means you get homes that are extraordinarily beautiful with simply stunning views that are worth easily tens of millions of dollars and are well worth the money to keep them looking nice and updated over time. In addition to that, you have the benefit of not just the mountains, but the fact that you have Phoenix and Scottsdale that had developed alongside Paradise Valley. Now, they don't have the same rules, obviously, and they have very robust social scenes, very robust restaurant scenes, culinary spots. Just there's a lot to do in Phoenix, especially Central Corridor, and Scottsdale, especially, well, now everywhere, but especially in kind of the Old Town, downtown area. Paradise Valley sits conveniently close to both locations, so within 15 minutes, you can drive to virtually any sort of, social affair that you want to attend, any sort of, food that you're craving, you can probably find within that 15-minute drive. But it's far enough away that you don't have to worry about any sort of sound pollution or crazy drivers or things like that, because you live in the confines of Paradise Valley. Which leads me to another very interesting point, something I think keeps Paradise Valley very true to its history, is that Paradise Valley does not allow any commercial development unless you have a very specific pass from the government. What that means is the only commercial developments you'll see there are golf courses and their companion country clubs, as well as a handful of schools. That's it. No gas stations, no restaurants, no supermarkets, nothing. On the very edges of Paradise Valley, you'll get that, and that's where the residents tend to go shopping. But inside Paradise Valley itself, there's no commercial development, and fun fact, there are no streetlights. So it feels very cozy. It feels very not urban, even though you are literally 15-20 minutes on surface streets from the airport. You're in the center of it all, and yet when you turn off the lights at night, you can somewhat easily see the stars, even when your neighbors 5 miles in either direction can't benefit from the same sky. Really, really cool opportunities there, and truly a remarkable end result of the foresight that the original founders of Paradise Valley had. So, to wrap it up, those are some of the key reasons I would give as to why Paradise Valley is truly la creme de la creme of real estate in Arizona. It is a remarkable place to be, and obviously there are other reasons why it's such a desirable place. A couple of them include such a wonderful and attentive police force, as well as the idea that wealth attracts wealth. So once one ultra wealthy person moved there, it attracted friends and other wealthy people. But it really is a remarkable place to even just drive around. Given the caliber of the homes here, you would maybe expect a lot of gated communities, but you can actually drive through quite a few of these neighborhoods and just experience the breadth and depth of the homes in Paradise Valley. It's truly an entertaining way to spend an afternoon if you've got nothing going on, because you will see such a diverse group of architecture and landscaping and design and views and all these beautiful things that come to create such a magnificent gem of real estate here in the valley. I also want to circle back real quick. I know I was joking about how rugged and awful it is here. There really is a lot of beauty here in the Arizona desert. I love it. I don't ever plan on leaving it. And clearly a lot of people feel the same way because we continue to have pretty robust population growth. So come check it out. Honestly, I think you'd enjoy spending a bit of time here, maybe trying to avoid the hot summer months and monsoon season, just because it gets a little crazy. But come check it out. It's stunning. Go for a hike, enjoy the nature, see what it was like when people first came through the area, and you might actually find that it's more beautiful than you'd think. So with that, thank you for watching. I hope you subscribe, and I hope you check out my news articles on my website, johncardenrealestate.com. And with that, I hope to see you in the next video.